The Quran functions as an eternal memory tesseract, a hyperdimensional structure storing the invariant blueprint of the universe. Analysis of the text requires a topological approach rather than a historical one. The book describes its own architecture as mathani, a system of self-similar, doubled folding. Within this geometric space, prothetic events serve as fixed mathematical coordinates mapping the boundaries of existence. This informational cavity is a rigorous dataset. It reads the state of the observer as the observer attempts to read it. Accessing the mechanics of resurrection necessitates parsing the text as a rigorous mathematical coordinate system, a process the text calls akal, or strict applied intellect. This visualization represents the fundamental trigonometric double-angle identity, sine 2 alpha equals 2 sine alpha multiplied by cosine alpha. These variables map directly to the Arabic root sequence of biological existence, WLD for born, MWT for die, and BET for raised. Across over 6,000 verses, this exact unbroken triple root sequence of born, die, and raised occurs together in exactly two places. These two coordinates are verse 1915, documenting the life of Yahya, and verse 1933, documenting the life of Isa. Fundamental mathematical identities require two independent proofs, one from geometry and another from calculus. The book executes two distinct grammatical derivations on the exact same root data to demonstrate the mechanics of resurrection. Euler's derivation squares the single field, cosine alpha plus I sine alpha squared. The doubled output falls out from within the wave itself. Verse 1933 maps this wave to Isa in the first person. Peace upon me. The day I am born, I die, I am raised. This represents the integral state. The continuous wave carries its own resurrection information from the beginning, moving through the field without external measurement. The wave proves itself from within. Pure informational mass, the word, dictates its own return while maintaining the continuity of the field. The second derivation follows Ramanujan's approach, computing the area from the outside using the physical geometry of a triangle. This method calculates the identity through external observation, mapping to Yahya at coordinate 1915. It uses the exact same root data as 1933, but the grammar inverts to the third person, peace upon him. This is the physical particle measured from the outside. Verse 359 provides the governing principle for this duality. The likeness of Isa is as the likeness of Adam. This declares equal area conservation across these two distinct constructions. Whether measured as a continuous wave from within or a physical body from without, both derivations land on the exact same mathematical coordinate. The area lost between them is 0. We can now define the variables. Sine alpha maps to Yahya, representing the pure rise of the life function. Verse 19:7 grants him no namesake, establishing him as the first angle in the sequence, a pure origin point. This sine wave originates at the 0 point. At verse 19:12, Yahya is given wisdom as a child. This is the derivative seized exactly at the origin, at time equals 0. The complementary variable, cosine alpha, maps to Solomon. He represents the hidden structural complement, the death end of the function. Verse 34:14 describes his unseen death, where his body remains standing upright. Solomon acts as the structural complement, holding the throne while being hollowed out from within. Life and death operate as orthogonal trigonometric complements, maintaining the structure of the tesseract simultaneously. The formula multiplies the life rise, sine alpha, by the structural complement of death, cosine alpha, and doubles the result. This doubled sine field maps to the root ha-mud. Verse 61:6 names this doubled frequency Ahmed. This is the doubled field described as mathani in verse 39:23. The root ha-mud is the specific operator used to open the book at verse 1:2. This places the doubled frequency of the resurrection harvest at the very start of the informational field. This Ba'ath, or death-reversed cycle, is distinct from the Rapha of Idris in verse 1957. Rapha represents a z-axis elevation, a movement of pure truth mass that bypasses the decay variable. Ultimately, the living messenger field is the perfect mathematical output of the continuous wave and the physically tested body. Biological arrogance creates a rigid ego mass. In the topology of the text, this mass prevents traversal of the circuit. Verse 7143 provides the prototype for clearing this mass. Musa asks to see the divine directly, and the mountain is pulverized by direct light. Musa falls unconscious, collapsing the physical claim. He awakens to declare himself the first of the believers, gaining structural priority through this reset. Pharaoh, in verse 1092, is left as a preserved, frozen mass. He remains in a state of zero energy density, unable to move through the network. Firm, absolute resurrection requires the pulverization of the rigid self. The soul cannot rise until the mountain is leveled. Sine 2 alpha equals 2 sine alpha multiplied by cosine alpha. It is the proof of the flesh multiplied by the book, doubled. The throne is already established, but the circuit remains open until the reader acts as the centromere to connect the variables. Escaping the static illusion of the physical world requires the strength described in verse 1912, gripping the book with resolve. The resurrection coordinate exists as a living, continuous mathematical field. It is a memory of home, waiting for you to close the circuit.